We're going to talk about Christianity just for a few moments. This is my opinions and my experience. I was raised Lutheran, and most of my life baptized, catechisms, membership. I don't know how that works. I forget. If you look at the story of Martin Luther, basically he saw the Catholic Church having a bunch of faults, defied the Catholic Church, created his own following. My experiences in that church, there was one time when I was searching something. It was a midnight, not a midnight mass. They didn't have mass. It was a service, Christmas Eve service. Christmas Eve. I would look for Jesus. I would look for it because I wanted to believe. They would start to strip down the altar, and I thought Jesus was leaving. I was like, don't take Jesus down. Don't take him down. So that's about as far as that went. One of the greatest ministers I've ever met in that faculty, her name was Pastor Moore. She rode a motorcycle. I think I was a teenager at that point. She rode a motorcycle. She saw a lot in me. She even told my grandmother that I would probably be some kind of minister, something like that. Here I am on YouTube. See me, Pastor Moore? One day, she thought she had some heartburn. 3 days later, she needed a heart transplant. She was just taken away. So, sweet, sweet lady. Really, really a good person, good human. Great theological mind when I had questions. I'll say I'll miss her. Plain as day. I started working a lot, getting in teenage years and moving on and doing all kinds of stuff. And I tried to rekindle a relationship with my mother because I thought, hey, I'm getting older. Maybe I'll try to try this out, So she was a fanatic for a non-denominational church called Victory Assembly. I started to instill some trust within her to help guide me with this. So here's another part of that magic. She started to plant these seeds in my head of a root of evil and hate and anger towards her, right? I never had any issues against her. I tried to start developing a relationship with her, internally. And she took her guilts. Manifested them into something that I could believe in. What was that? It was a root of anger within myself. So, me being gullible and thinking I would start trusting this woman, I was like, okay, we gotta get rid of it. We gotta get rid of this root. Otherwise, my life's not gonna get better. I went to Victory Assembly. I give tithe, 10%. Another form of that magic that I mentioned before, give an offering, you get back because the Bible said so. That worked, probably because I believed in it. I witnessed just oddities, the speaking in tongues. A lot of it was babble. I went through the process to speak in tongues. It's a blessing. And only one person in the church can do it. That's right. So I went through this process. The first process was God is going to clear you, forgive you from day one, everything, no matter what you did. And they commanded me to speak in this voice. So I manifested it. It wasn't what everybody else was saying. It was another language, I think. I don't know. So there were words coming out. I didn't know what they meant. That's actually what's supposed to happen in the Bible. According to the Bible, it says that they spoke in other languages to spread the word to other nations. Cool. If I could put my finger on it, Middle Eastern-ish. I went and I listened to prophets of this church. They spoke of the land, Youngstown, Ohio. They spoke of the land, how it was cursed by a devil, what they saw, and what was going to happen. So what did he say was going to happen, this minister, this prophet? We're going to reclaim our youth. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to do that. He planted the seed in these people's heads that are going to brainwash their children. And my mother asked me, what do you think about him? I was like, I think he told you exactly what you wanted to hear. Oh man, she lost it. She's like, you can't talk about a prophet like that. You'll be blah, 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 cursed by God, this, that, and the other thing. I said, can you disagree with me? But we didn't get into that because, again, I was so bad into this. And it was literal mental slavery. When I would walk down the street to my bus stop, I would have to think to myself every 10 seconds, I can't think about this because it's bad. I can't think about this because it's bad. I can't think about this because it's bad. God has to help me. God's with me. I mean, we're talking like every 10 seconds. I could not preoccupy myself with anything else besides the fact that I was going to hell. That's how bad it was. That's enough to drive anybody insane. My grandmother even thought she was going to have to condemn me to a mental institution because of the things I was worried about from that church. I'll say I was a victim. I was invited to go to a youth group, whatever, and there was a kid there. This kid I went to high school with. I went to this youth ministry, maybe seeking some other people like me. Somebody want to talk to me, whatever. So I go in there and he's there. I'm like, oh man, hey, it's one person I know out of all these people. So they had their own separate building for this, their own separate church just for this. He basically put it out there that like, yeah, you know, this, that, and the other thing, and I want to do this with my life and get to share the great word of God, or it was more along lines of, so now I'm sharing the word of God. And then like he kind of like walked away like it was something great and he was better than me. So I was just left there to sit by myself and wait for somebody to acknowledge me, I guess, because I was in isolation in a group of people. It kind of sucked, I'm not gonna lie. So I just left and I tried to go back the next time and I actually got pulled over by the police because I had tried to go. I kept turning around, like I'm gonna go to church, I'm gonna call my mom. She's like, just go. And then I turn around and say I'm not going because I was pissed off. And then I got pulled over. The cops in that area they were pretty cool. They're like, it's like, yeah, you've turned around like 4 times, so I'm just trying to, are you lost? I was like, no, I'm debating on whether or not I want to go to church. Like, and he's like, oh, okay, well, I hope you make up your mind. He's like, have a good night. I was like, yeah, okay, bye. You know, so I ended up not going. I ended up going home pissed off. My next experience, which was the final experience within the church, not outside yet. So I'd seen this guest minister before. This guest minister, typical John Candy looking dude. happy-go-lucky, feeling the passion of the Christ, all that stuff. Real energetic, weird sweater. I'm talking like Christmas John Candy, pervert sweater. I, dealing with people and having a scope of mistrust and whatever else, could generally identify and judge people for who they were. I could tell phone numbers before people spoke them. I was on the darker side of things at that time. So even though I was going to church and I was saved. There's a lot of miasma here with that left over. I knew this guy was a child molester just by looking at him. And you hear him talk and you knew it. Just knew it, right? Not a lot of people can do that. Don't judge me for judging people, because I'm generally not wrong. Generally, I will admit when I'm wrong with people. I went to the service. It got real late, about 11 p.m. It's time to speak in tongues. So everybody's up front, shalalabamba. So everybody starts speaking in tongues because the guest minister said so. It's that point in time where everybody's getting energized, everybody's feeling the word, everybody's just, woo! So he calls everybody, like, come worship Jesus, come love Jesus. Great, whatever. So everybody goes up front. I stay in the back. I always stay in the back. I'm in deep meditation in the back, calling upon God, whatever. My right ear, it pops like it's been clogged, which it was clogged for a year, 2 years, something, just an affliction of some sort. After one of those colds. It happens. So my right ear pops. And I'm going to tell you this with genuine truth. I heard a voice. It said, listen. That's all it said was listen. All the voices of the congregation that were speaking in tongues, that all come together into one voice. What it was saying, I have no idea. I couldn't understand the language. It was whatever, but it was one voice. Right at that moment, when I started to become in awe of a presence, the guest minister says, stop, everybody stop, stop, stop. I just received a message from God. There's somebody here tonight with a hearing affliction in their right ear. You need to be healed so you can hear. I was like, shit, that already happened. That just happened. So what should I do? He's like, anybody that has a hearing affliction, come forward. So I went up anyways to this guy I thought was a child molester. I'm probably like seventh to ninth, 10th in line to get healed. He walks down the line, comes to me, and I look him in the eyes, and he jumps back 4 or 5 feet. And then he ran up to me, prayed real quick, and moved on. After that, my mother had actually, I think she came in or called me, one of the two. She's like, how is Pastor so-and-so? He's so great, blah, 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 blah. He's actually, he went under persecution for somebody claiming he was a child molester, this, that, and the other thing. I was like, he is a child molester. She's like, you can't talk about him like that. I was like, he is. I don't care what you have to say. I could not step foot in that church after that. There was something, every time I went in there was some kind of rage, some kind of feeling. I wasn't supposed to go there anymore. And I think it's because I saw and I felt all the nonsense and the unnecessary following of something that I could do. I couldn't put my finger on it at that time, but this time I think that's what it was. is I just performed some kind of metaphysical act by meditating, and I've got an answer with that action of meditation and intent. I wasn't asking for anything. I was just trying to connect, and I got connected, and somebody did something for me. So, was it God? Was it God? I don't know if it's God. Never met the guy. Nobody's ever painted the right picture. I was still reaching. My mother was still pushing that root of hatred and jealousy. I was still looking to fix something that wasn't broke, right? That's the definition of insanity. I mean, literally, you're trying to fix something that's not broke. So you're trying avenues to fix something, to create an outcome. Here's what happened that separated me from communication with my mother. It was amazing. So, in case you haven't watched the other videos, I was abandoned by my mother, who took me from my father, left me at my father's mother's house, which is my grandmother, and she raised me. She left me there at 1 year old to get sober. She says on the phone, she has been bathed in the blood of Christ, and all of her transgressions against me have been forgiven. She is washing her hands of anything she has done to me. She has been forgiven. Pump the motherfucking brakes. I'm still alive. I still have a history. You still did what you did. I'm a still walking flesh of your screw up. Right? And I apologize for cursing, but that's how intense that set off a cataclysmic event. Her saying that. Cataclysmic event. At that moment, everything in my mind about Christianity and her, who is now a minister, that crushed everything that I followed for those previous years. We're going to cut it here. So in the next video, we're going to explain what happened, and we're going to explain in detail the personal experience and my thought process when she had claimed that. Thank you for watching. Have a great night.